The race towards 2027 has begun in earnest while we're reviewing the current government. Jerry Chukwueke joins us this morning. He's a political analyst and former chief technical advisor to the Imo State governor. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Well, thank you very much.
A quick one on the midterm review of the president. Of course, there's been divided opinions, but let's stick with you on the political side of things. What would be your assessment of the political look and feel of Nigeria over the past 2 years? Well,
my view is there is a significant amount of confidence that is growing. And it's emboldening my party, the APC. I have made the argument severally that we need a credible, strong, viable opposition so as to keep government's feet to the fire. There's no doubt about it. We need it. We need alternative viewpoints. We need constructive criticism and how things can be done differently. That's the job of opposition. It is still not happening. All we see so far is motion without movement.
One of the allegations that we hear, my apologies for butting, one of the allegations we hear is that it's the APC that is compelling people to come into leave their parties and come to the APC to create a one-party state.
No, so I got news for you. Politicians are not going to leave their constituents behind. Politicians trend and move in the direction of the wishes and support of their constituents.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, yeah. Now, let me finish. Secondly, I go back to the point of confidence. What President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has done in the many policy decisions, and we can go into many of them, is that he's been able to drive with confidence and is exhuming it. There is no doubt as to who is in charge. I draw your attention to the fact that in the past, we elected leaders that sunk into the structure of the presidency. And after a while, you start to wonder who is in charge. There is no doubt as to who is in charge of this government. And you know what else is happening? He has a solid understanding of the workings of the different aspects of governance. I'll give you an example. I was focusing a few days ago on how he's zeroing in on the cost of oil production in Nigeria, on the back of driving a process where local oil companies that have acquired IOC's dormant assets onshore are ramping up crude production. We're not panicked because price of crude is hovering around $63, $64 a barrel compared to a budget of $75 a barrel because of the details and how he's starting to connect the dots. So if you see clearly, in my view, how he's even operating on the monetary side of things. Look at what the central bank is doing recently, opening up the diaspora opportunities to bring them into the financial system so they can open accounts, run accounts, invest in Nigeria. Last year, inflows from the diaspora hovered around 4.5 billion. And this has been around the 4.55 billion over the last 6 to 10 years. Officially, when you add the unofficial inflows, people who come in with $10,000 or less, we are in excess of $6 billion a year. And so, the CBN now moving to say, we want you to transact in Nigeria, have access to the financial system, run accounts, flow these monies in without obstruction. We'll encourage you to invest. Is ramping up confidence in addition to crude oil production. So I can go on and on, because what we're saying here, I heard on a different program, a presenter saying, well, we had the arguments that the opposition is not doing anything, can't come up with anything different. So far, what we've heard is some criticism of some policies. That's good. They haven't said they have a different policy program. So criticism of what it's doing, constructive, is good. It only helps fine-tune.
Okay.
So I think we're making great progress, in my view.
Now, there are concerns being raised, and I'm sure you are aware of these concerns. And maybe if you weren't a member of the PDP, you'd be as concerned, beg your pardon, the APC,
yes,
you'd be as concerned. The concerns that these mass defections that are coming in of different politicians, including legislators from different states, all collapsing their structures to move into your party, the APC. The concern is, look, we may be tending to a situation where we are operating the Constitution in breach. By that I mean the Constitution does not permit a one-party state. However, if all parties collapse into the APC, then we will be operating the Constitution in breach, wouldn't we?
Well, look at the history of Mr. President. He's been a long-standing Democrat who was very active in opposition. I don't believe that this president is looking to create a one-party system in Nigeria. His long history, it's about creative, viable opposition to fine-tune government and provide alternative views. Listen, I am not taking a firm position on the failings of the major opposition parties now, but they are way behind because the train has left the station. Let me tell you what I believe is going on. People, as we say in Nigeria, big politicians, legislators, and so on, that syndrome, follow who know road. That's where this is trending. And I am saying, when you look at the bold steps, you look at the future, and what President Ahmed Bola Tinubu is projected for Nigeria, particularly towards the economy. Look at what's happening in Imo. Eno is now pumping huge natural gas into the system. Shell is following. I heard one of your guests talking about power. He's focused on it because the future of power supply in Nigeria must be powered by natural gas, and we have that in quantum.
Okay.
Imo is a strong opportunity for gas. So, and you can see President talking about the emphasis on gas pipelines. Now, look at in the budget, over 40 billion provision for states in grants to invest in railroads connecting their regions. These are all new things.
But you haven't still spoken to whether or not Nigeria is tending towards a one-party state with the mass defections that are coming. So, and now you say, my apologies,
yes,
I know that Kela is standing by to come in and ask you a question or two, but you also say that we want a vibrant opposition.
Yes.
How can we have a vibrant opposition when those in opposition are coming into your party?
So the people, that's the point I'm making. The opposition parties need to get their acts together before it's too late. We need alternative viewpoints. People want a conversation about what they will do differently. Their preparation for leadership. Where are they going to take us to? Different from where we are and where President Tinubu is taking us. That's an important argument. And that's a conversation Nigerians want to have. And I've made this point over and over again. They are failing in doing so. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, all we see is motion without movement.
Okay.
That, the fault, I'm telling you, take a closer look. You got to see that the opposition needs to rise to the occasion.
Okay.
One of the major parties can't even call a NEC meeting. Okay. They're not even sure who is authorized to do so.
I'm sure that Kela has a question or two for you along that line as well. Go ahead, Kela.
Indeed. Mr. Chukwueke, I mean, listening to you talk about, you know, where the president is taking us, where the APC is taking us to, and I know that you're a member of the All Progressives Congress. I'm going to ask you just a few questions before we wrap up this morning. Does it worry you that a lot of people are probably joining the All Progressives Congress just to forward their political careers? And I say that because there's the accusation that in Nigeria we're not practicing a proper democracy. It's electionocracy. At least that's what I heard a senior advocate of Nigeria say recently. That it's just the concept of just winning elections. The governance bit of it seems a bit lacking. Is that something that worries you, the fact that a lot of people who are joining your party are just doing so to forward their political careers? And it's got nothing to do with building the party. In fact, many people have said that an implosion of the APC is inevitable.
Well, my view is that that may just be wishful thinking. Look at the facts on the ground. We see confidence demonstrated day after day by Mr. President and the ruling party. We see a lot of mobilization efforts. My governor in Imo, for example, Governor Hope Uzodimma, as you know, is chairman of the APC Governors Forum. He is all over the place, mobilizing, explaining, detailing the policies of this government and why we should support President Bola Tinubu. What a great mobilizer he is. Look at what Governor Wike, former Governor Wike, is doing. He is still a member of the PDP, but you can see how he's been able to straddle the two because he's a strong believer of the vision of this president and the policies that have now started to bear fruit. One of the things that I'm excited about, and even in Imo, is how the security challenge we're facing is now being, in fact, chased after to make better. My governor...
My question
Yes.
my question is, a lot of people joining your party right now, some have said, are joining because it's the place where their political careers can be moved forward. Some want re-election, some want one thing or the other politically. Doesn't that worry you that you have a lot of people with political agendas joining your party? What happens if the party is not able to give them what they want? And don't you see a friction coming between these people who are joining your party now and those who have been in your party for a long time? Don't you think those agendas may clash at some point, leading to the implosion that many people have said is ultimately going to happen in your party?
Well, listen, people can speculate all they want and have their dose of wishful thinking. What is clear, in my view, about what's driving the surge is the confidence the leadership of this government and the party is bringing to play. The policies, very tough, but are working. We've seen the results day by day. People want to follow the winning team. That's my argument. And I know, just as if you check, you will come to the same conclusion that this president believes in a viable opposition. He's a Democrat. That's how he played. The job is now up to the opposition parties to show leadership and preparedness for leadership in Nigeria. We haven't seen that. That's the challenge. And nobody wants to follow a losing team. You got to follow a winning team. That's what life is all about. So the opposition still has the opportunity to get their acts together and start to run a conversation about what policy differences and alternatives they can bring to the Nigerian people to make our lives.
How about the people? We're not talking about the people at all. We're just talking about the political class.
No, listen to this. But look at how our people are faring. You heard the Economist, who was just a few minutes ago, talking about the impact.
I'm talking about the political end of things.
But that's what I'm talking about, grassroots. How are people feeling, right? That's the issue. Fuel subsidy, more money to the states. Mr. President is putting his feet down that local government monies must go to local governments. We need money flows in our local areas. So the small people, small suppliers, small contractors, money flowing. We need the governors to do more to invest in infrastructure
While we
and
are
jobs
talking
creation.
about the president, you know, putting his feet to the fire, we also need to, the president needs to find a way to get the governors, even the governors of the APC, to put their feet to the fire so that the money that is supposed to go to the local governments actually go to the local governments, and they invite the local governments to the table for economic conversation in their states. That is what the Constitution says, and no one is talking about that.
I agree with you, and guess what? Mr. President is doing just that.
Let's hope
He's put his feet down on local government funds. You agree with me that he's done that. And the thing I like about him being in charge is that the governors, subnationals understand that we have a leader at play.
But we are still...
So we are confident. Things will only get better.
We're still waiting for the local governments to act as they should. Anyway, for now, we have to thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very
Jerry
much.
Chukwueke is a political analyst, former chief technical advisor to the Imo State governor. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you.